Perfect. So just to rewind a bit, what was your vision for the brand as Singular? And when you first approached us, what we were hoping to achieve from Nitrous?
So, Nitrous was a great partner because they could help us do those design elements, had a lot of experience with content, and then could also take care of the website build out on the back end.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Power Up with Nitrous from Stealth to Spotlight, the website that launched Singular GTM as an enterprise AI startup. I'm your host, Soumya, co founder of Nitrous, and I'm delighted to have Kurt join with me. He's the head of marketing for Singular. Kurt carries immense experience in marketing field. He has more than 20 plus years of experience, and he currently is heading the entire GTM strategies for Singular. Kurt, welcome
Yeah,
to
it's great
the
to be here.
webinar. Thanks a lot for joining in. So, just to give a backdrop about Singulr, so Singulr is an enterprise AI governance platform that helps organizations securely adapt and scale AI while minimizing the risk and cost. So, currently, as we have seen, that there are a lot of AI models, agents that are being used in enterprise. So, just to make sure that all of those things are governed and to reduce the risk, Singulr is the platform that got launched in January. And yes, we have been through this journey for almost 6 8 months. When we were in stealth, we were doing some concept-driven website. From there, we created a full-fledged marketing website. So yeah, it was a great turn of events for us. And yeah, so in terms of Singular, so Kurt would be able to give us more details what Singular does as a whole. And yes, Kurt, over to you about Singular.
Yeah, so thank you, and I'm glad to be here and tell our story. So yeah, Singulr is a product that helps enterprises manage the adoption of AI use in their organization. So AI is rapidly being deployed and used by employees, and so with Singular, you can kind of understand what employees are doing with AI. You can assess the risk of different products and models. You can put controls in place so that you can make it easy for employees to use the tools you want and make it hard for them to not use the tools you don't want. And then, do all the reporting and governance audit and all those things that are required when a big company is using a new technology like AI.
Absolutely, absolutely. And some fun facts about that was when we actually started with the concept sites, we saw that there were a lot of like I guess 460, at least at that point of time, were 460 AI agents that were being used throughout, and we were able to secure all of them. We were able to differentiate, and yeah, so I guess those are, and 75% of the employees used to use that. So yes, it was kind of a great start for us. Like we were able to achieve that.
Yep. Yeah, no, and that's the kind of data we would collect about a specific customer, that we would find in a company with thousands of employees. They would have hundreds of different AI based tools in use. Um,
Uh,
Everything from things like GPT to the tools that are embedded in Microsoft and Google suites, and tools like Workday or Grammarly or Adobe. So many
yeah,
SaaS products that we've used for years are now turning on AI features without a lot of notice and without a lot of options. So we can look at all of that and make sure that your employees are doing safe things with those powerful tools.
correct, correct. No, actually, this so right now we have also noticed that complete shift in the space that any of the SaaS products that we have been using, everyone has come up with their AI, and it just gets updated in a very small privacy document that okay, we are updating that, and employees they do not look at that, right? So having that governance for an enterprise company is a must, right? So I guess that is one of the key areas where we see risk vulnerability of the entire organization data privacy. So yeah, I guess that was one of the critical things that was required. It was not there in the market. We are the early birds to go over there, and yeah, we are able to secure quite a lot of companies as the team is growing. I guess we are in a good head start from there.
That's right.
Perfect. So just to rewind a bit, what was your vision for the brand as Singular? And when you first approached us, what were you hoping to achieve in this entire outcome when we were driving concept websites, when we were driving marketing websites? What was your, uh, like, what we were hoping to achieve from Nitrous?
Well, yeah. So this is we call it an enterprise grade product, right? So this is not a commercial or a B2C kind of tool. This is product at a bank or an insurance company or a hospital. Large organizations need. And so, if you look at enterprise grade websites from existing vendors, they typically have a lot of features, but they also have a lot of constraints, right? So, you can only show product in a certain way, or there's only a certain number of pages or sub pages, and you're kind of boxed in with a lot of big company websites. So, what we wanted to do was have a website that presented us as a serious solution, but then also show that we're not just like any other startup. So there's a lot of startups that come out with what I call a version 1.0 website that they're pretty thin. There's not a lot there. So we really had the luxury having kind of a blank sheet of paper, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a good news, bad news. Good news, it's a clean slate. Bad news, it's a clean slate. So we had to do brand, we had to pick colors, we had to figure out what our voice was with the storytelling, and a lot of that had to be developed on the fly. So Nitrous was a great partner because they could help us do those design elements. Had a lot of experience with content, and then could also take care of the website build out on the back end. So it was really a great fit.
Yeah. And I guess when we initially had the kickoff call, also, I still remember that you were very clear on to the goals of the website design. So, what we wanted to achieve, we wanted to establish credibility. It's an enterprise grade product, so we wanted the brand language also, so that an enterprise company looks at us as a serious company, not just some startup that has come up. We communicate our values and products to our ICPs very clearly, more of into a storytelling format, because that's what drive engagement and conversion. So I guess we were very clear on that. And apart from that, we wanted not just to stop over there, but there are a lot of events that are going to come ahead. So we wanted to make sure that the entire ecosystem of your marketing should be able to be completed by us. So that was kind of like a good start
Yep.
for everyone. Uh, that actually posed us a great question, like, how do you translate such a complex enterprise grade product into a clear, engaging website? And the another thing was that we didn't want it to slow down your internal product team during this critical launch. So that was one of the main questions that we had, and based on that, we were able to define those goals. I guess the goals, when we defined, it was like very clear that we wanted to have the brand tone and the visual identity which suits the enterprise. We wanted to
Yep.
have a fresh brand identity, but at the same time, it was more of enterprise grade. So, your ICP spans from mid-size to large enterprise teams. How did that influence when we structured the content and the messaging and the way we story telling we used?
Yeah, I mean, so we think of it as or you could call it an enterprise buyer, right? It's somebody's job to go, look at solutions and purchase them for their organization. Um, and typically, when thinking in terms of SEO or search terms, they're often searching for how do I solve a specific problem. They've got the problem, or their bosses task them with going and finding ways to solve a problem. Maybe their team has decided that this kind of problem is coming up and they want to get ahead of it, or of the 20 problems that they could be solving, this is one that's a priority. um, so in general, people are going to do something with this kind of enterprise grade product, right? It's all to solve this problem. And so when we think about the term product market fit, a lot of startups are looking for product market fit. It's how do you explain the problem and explain the solution in a way that resonates with the buyer, and then that it enables them to get funding to make a purchase, right? So there's a commercial transaction at the end of that. Um, when you think about website design, you don't have a lot of time. First
Yeah.
impression counts. their first read of the website has to be factual, but it's still marking, right? There's got to be an emotional hook to get that reader interested to learn more. And
Yeah.
you need to make them think, hey, this looks like it might solve my problem within 30 or 60 seconds, right? Or even less.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
uh, it's interesting when you're part of a startup that spent a year or 2 years building a product. The instinctive to reaction is let's tell them all about our product on the website, on the homepage, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so the challenge is you kind of need to take a little bit different storytelling approach with your homepage and with your product page and with your solution page, so that you can kind of get that emotional resonance and hook them into wanting to learn more about your product. Um, and there's some tricks to doing that.
Yeah, yeah. So, and in fact, if I talk about the homepage, so it's like in the movie that we see for 3 hours, the trailer is for 30 seconds or
Right.
60 seconds, right? So
Yeah.
that's our homepage, right?
Yeah, you want
So
that
that's one
that
of,
uh, that deep voice to say, world where, or however they used to do all the trailers, right?
exactly. And like again, it's not just that we want to showcase that okay, our product does that. This is our feature. This is how your problem is going to get solved. But at the same time, you have to look at what is the emotion that they connect to
Yeah,
and how you communicate that in a very short span. We have like 15-20 seconds. That's the visitor average uh, for a homepage, you can say. So in that you have to bring out credibility. You have to tell them that okay, your problem is getting solved. So it's like that action packed trailer
right.
that you have in the homepage.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and I guess with your help we were able to quite do a great job in terms of storytelling for sure. It's one of so I shared the links with a couple of our friends in Bay Area, and like the initial reaction was ki I'm first of all I'm hooked to it, and apart from that they are able to clearly articulate okay what's the problem
Yeah,
that these guys are solving, right? And that's the essence of it.
yep,
So once that is something that we have nailed, I guess we conversion becomes the secondary aspect to it. But yes, getting that first attention is the most important thing.
that's right.
And also, what we did over here was we created a very strong design system. It's very underrated, that's what I feel. But the strong design system helps you to scale things very easily. Uh, when we are developing a marketing website and we have, let's say, 8 weeks to the launch, okay, so we count ourselves down, right? So this is the launch date. So what do we get out in those 8 weeks?
Yeah,
So when you create a very strong design system, it actually helps us to build modular structure which can be reused, and then we change the graphics illustration, and also it creates a very scalable identity which can be resonated in each and every pages. So
yeah,
sometimes you might have seen that there is a home page, the look and feel is very different, but as you go into an inner page it completely changes, right? And that's what we were able to achieve with a very strong visual identity and design system. So
yeah,
that actually helped us with that.
that's right.
Apart from that, we created custom illustrations and motion design just so that we can simplify what Singulr platform does in a very, as we mentioned, storytelling. So in that way, we wanted to make sure that the customers or the ICPs are fully aware that okay, this is what. So how did that help? Like, what role did that play when we were building the site?
That's right. Well, I think for when we talk about the storytelling and how we worked with you to kind of do that, one of the challenges we face, we're talking about a product that has security or governance or compliance, and these words have been used in technology for a while, so a lot of people kind of generally know what they mean. But when you apply them to a new technology like AI, and you say, "Well, we do AI security," it's like, well, what does that mean, right? So you could tell that to 20 different people, and they would have 20 different ideas about, um, and so you can try to be specific, right? Well, we have granular security, or kind of a descriptive that way, but then you just kind of lose people. So I know we worked together. We thought about some metaphor type, dots that behave on a screen, and And even then it just felt like, you had to, the person visiting the website in the first 15 seconds kind of had to know what the dots mean in order to get what the metaphor is. So, you know, we really pushed towards being, moving away from abstract to being really concrete. So
Right.
we tried to do this story more, what happens to the our customer's employee when they start using AI. So we came up with this, visual of kind of, I call them the baseball cards that go across the screen. But like, you have a secretary who's typing in notes from a board meeting. Is that okay? Is it approved or not approved with that particular AI tool? Or you have a developer who's putting code up into a coding copilot. Is that okay or not? You're writing employee review and putting it into Grammarly, so tried to really be concrete, and showing what happens when people use our product versus trying to describe the product itself. And so that shift, I call it turning the story inside out, is really important when you're trying to do tech storytelling, and spend more time thinking about the buyer or the user and what happens if they use your product versus trying to sell on features and functions and things like that. So you guys did a great job. We went through a lot of iterations on that. Your designers and your content folks were really helpful in kind of thinking through different ways that we could think about it. And I think as a team, we came to a pretty interesting solution.
Great, great. No, for our team also, first of all, understanding the product was one of the key things, and your team was able to completely articulate us very clearly what the product does and how we can solve. And that's how we are able to bring out those emotions as well. As
Yeah.
designers, we would be able to design, but we need to understand the product also. And since it was explained very well to us, we were able to clearly articulate those and solve those problems. Great. So I guess in terms of how Nitrous helped, I would say that we had a quite accelerated time to market in the GTM that we were trying
Yeah.
to focus. We freed up the internal resources, which was one of the biggest areas that you guys would have felt, because we don't want to slow down the product team at all,
Yeah.
right? That who and Webflow being the tool that it is, so it gives the entire power to the marketing team rather than being developer focused. So that's one of the key aspect. We were able to complete the storytelling and of the complex product. And yeah, so we have currently a very future ready foundation with a strong design system and an enterprise grade brand presence. So that was what we were able to get it done in such a 8 weeks, 9 week span of time. So yeah, so
Yeah, and I will say I've worked with a lot of partners on projects like this, and I think you're right that kind of that I think you call them sprints, which may be an overused tech term, but you really broke down the project into its component parts. And I've found that when you're in the middle of one of these projects, being able to see, how many steps are left, what are we focusing on this week, really helps you avoid distraction of talking about and thinking about things if you know that you're going to be covering next week or the week after. So that approach of having a clear roadmap and a number of mini projects, if you will, I think is very, very effective.
and also this is something that I must say. The Sometimes we deal with certain challenges like, okay, the content is not there. Somehow with you, everything was super smooth. Whenever we needed those content, we got it, and we were able to clearly articulate. So I guess that was one of the key areas where we collaborated very good, and the team also loved
Yeah.
working with you. How things shaped up from the first fold, second fold to the entire design language, and the team has never been so excited to work on such a complex product. So yeah, I
Yeah.
guess it was a great journey for us, and we hope
Yep.
the RSA is coming. It's round the clock, so I hope you have a great event there, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot for this webinar, and
Yeah,
yeah.
you bet. No, I really enjoyed working with your team, and it's coming out of stealth. you know, and having not enough time to launch a company and having the website be just one of the things on the task list related to that launch. It really was helpful to say, Nitrous is my website partner. They're going to do the design. They're going to help with the content. They're going to handle all the automation in the website and the back end. And so it really was a good partnership. So thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for joining in.